So the number one thing required, I think, the most important thing in any relationship. So if I was in my 20s, even in my 30s, I would say, chemistry and banter and the connection. But I think even before all of that, because without this thing that I'm about to tell you, nothing else matters. And that thing is the ability for you guys to repair. So just by being you know when you live, there's a wake. By you living, there's a wake. There are ripples. So like it doesn't matter if we're talking about the way that you do the dishes or just you existing and you living. And the first person that is going to be hit with that wake, that ripple, is going to be your partner, most likely. I mean, assuming you guys live together, and so there's going to be annoyance. There's going to be a conflict. There's going to be ruptures, right? There's going to be activation. People with different attachment styles, people with different love languages, people with different stories, trauma. There's going to be fights. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be activation. There's no way around that, right? And so the ability to repair, not just one person, takes two, but the ability to repair, I think, is the most important thing in any relationship, because without it, the plane will eventually go down. Now, there are people that don't have the ability to repair, and they have these very toxic fights, right? The kind where you're yelling and you're just reactive, possibly throwing chairs and shit. And then there's this, they make up, they get, very close again. People apologize. They have the makeup sex. They're good for a little bit, and then another reaction happens, another rupture, and there's this DV cycle, right? So that could last for, I mean, I guess in some cases that could last for a decade. But here's the thing, that's not my definition of a healthy relationship. So there are relationships where people don't have the ability to rupture, but that relationship is stunted. It goes through patterns of just, chaos and crazy, and then connection. And there's this, I call it the sticky. There's this intermittent, I love you, get away. There's trauma bonding. There's all this stuff happening. That's not what I'm talking about, because that's not my definition of the kind of relationship I want. But what I want would be a healthy, sustainable relationship where two people are, by being in this relationship, they're growing, right? And so the only way to have that is if two people have the ability to repair. And so what does that look like? I mean, I think that's a whole nother video. But what I've seen most couples do is point fingers, including myself, right? So most of my life in relationships, here's why I'm right. Here's what you're doing wrong. A lot of people who come to me, I don't do a lot of couples work now, but when I did, it was always, they're the problem. If you can take ownership, even if it's, one thing, that disengages, right? So when one person, there's a Depeche Mode song. I don't know why I just thought of this. And it says, we can't change the world. We can't change the world. Something, we could change ourselves, but if we change ourselves, then we could change other people, and then so it goes back to how we can change the world. It starts off by saying we can't, and it reminds me of this, which is we can't change our partners, but we can change the dynamic of the relationship by changing us, how we show up, right? And by doing that, then there's a neutralization. There are guards put down. There is possibly less reaction. It takes two people to create that cycle, that toxicity, right? So by disengaging, by taking ownership, or just working on whatever it is that you want to work on, it will change the dynamic of the relationship. And by doing so, then you could actually change someone indirectly. So This is rare. People don't do this. Most people in relationships, when there's fighting and conflict, most people react. Most people stonewall. Most people push down. Most people hold resentment. The ability to repair in a healthy way, that is the most important thing, because without it, the relationship doesn't have legs. So as I end, how do you repair in your relationships? So not just intimate relationships, but friendships, any of your relationships. How do you repair? What are some things that you need? Just bring it back to you. What are some things that you need to work on? And here's the thing: most of us know, we just can't execute. Especially in the moment, right? So I think I think one thing that's crucial is when you are in any kind of conflict, whether you're arguing with a friend or your partner, instead of getting very logical, drop into your body, notice how you feel, be aware of what is happening, maybe ask for a timeout, dysregulate. Your nervous system is dysregulated, so regulate yourself and your nervous system. Put that speed bump there so you're able to respond instead of react. And that's a practice, right? But I think that's just foundational. That's step one. And how can you own things? What do you need to own today? How have you been accusatory and pointing fingers and trying to control people? What's something you can do to change the dynamic? Hence changing the relationship and maybe even your partner indirectly. What's one thing you can do yourself?